I quite like attacking both of you. The players are going to have this more collective confidence.
Are we looking at it now from the team's perspective or the player's perspective?
I've never seen someone make more money doing less in my life.
Bro,
anything in life. Let's not underplay this.
Fully back that point.
It's absolutely shambles, really, in my opinion.
Stop talking. What were you thinking? What were you thinking? Look at the shock in Daniel's face.
Morgan obviously doesn't know that.
He has made the club look like absolute fools. They should have got rid of these players ages ago. It's about time they stopped sitting on their hands.
That's one of the most confusing transfers.
Jovan has been sent off from this podcast.
I don't know and I don't care. He needs to leave.
I've had you laugh at me. I've had Jovan laugh at me.
Come on, Morgan is calling your name.
I'm calling your name. They don't pay me a penny to say this stuff.
Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Footy Forum. I'm with Morgan and Jovan as per usual. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, we're good. Not bad. Excited. Transfer episode. Let's go, Dan.
Yes, transfer episode indeed. Morgan is correct. So we're just asking a few things regarding the January transfer window. Obviously, it closed a couple of days ago, and we're going to be reacting to a couple of things. Just summing up really what the window looked like for different clubs and players. So yeah, we're going to start off with the best signing of the window. So I'm going to throw it out to the floor. Best signing of the window. Who do you guys think it is?
Okay, well,
yeah,
I don't know
you
if I
go.
want to start, but in my opinion, I'm going to look at things and I'm going to own that I'm biased completely in terms of what I think the best signing of the window was. There's a few of them comes to mind, but I think if you want to rephrase that in terms of best action, I think Ozil to leave was the best thing from an Arsenal perspective in terms of getting him out of the club. Financially, just getting a guy that's not playing. I'm sure.
Terrible answer. We're talking about in perspective of, which club brought in the best player.
And I'll also talk about that. That's Eintracht Frankfurt, which probably you don't even know about because you're only looking at the Premier League. But we'll talk about it after.
Oh, really?
Ozil's
You're going to talk about Jokic coming back from Real Madrid on loan.
Jokic is a basketball player. However, to go forward, Ozil to come out of the club is great. Obviously, for us, frees up some money. So I think that's huge in terms of, not a signing, but for us, it's better than any signing. But also, if you want to talk about the best signing in terms of value, is Luka Jovic going to back to Eintracht Frankfurt because he's already scored a handful of goals. Real Madrid wasn't playing at all. He's not the type of player, and I think they're honestly missing out on such a class player, but obviously doesn't fit in the system. We had these conversations yesterday with a really special guest in terms of having a player that fits the identity of the playing style. However, Luka Jovic come back to the club that he knows well, and he's going to help them out a lot. So, and also just to clarify, Jokic is a basketball player in the NBA. Morgan obviously doesn't know that. So just if everyone's kind
Nikola Jokic.
Okay, Morgan.
Great player though. You will rarely hear me say these words, but
here we go.
I do have to agree with Jovan. I have to agree. Yeah, look at the shock in Daniel's face.
Wow.
That is saying it.
I'm shocked, boys. I won't lie.
When you sell a player for that sort of value and are then able to get him back on loan to make a difference to your team, a team like Frankfurt who really need a player like that if they're going to try and compete in the Bundesliga, that's a great signing. There's no word of an option to buy, but I mean the only thing that would make that deal better is if they were able to get him back for less money. That would be insanely impressive. So
for sure.
Yeah. So well, I mean it's a bit crazy, but yeah, I think I'd have to really agree with Jovan. There are signings that I could get into. I want to say Brighton, obviously. My new nickname is Batnav. I'm owning this nickname, Batnav. Brighton are the next Aston Villa. Batnav is my new name. But yeah, so Brighton brought in Moises Caicedo on deadline day. That was a great signing. Nicked him from Man United for 4.5 million a steal. Obviously, he's 19, a lot more potential. But when you think about someone that's like athletic, strong, box-to-box midfielder, technically gifted, you think about the way Brighton play and the way they try and, get up the pitch, get back. You need someone box-to-box, really, for a team like Brighton. They don't sit back. too much. They do like to get forward, but they need to maintain shape. He's a good player. He's going to be a good addition for them. And obviously, something that you don't necessarily talk about is the length of a contract. So, as you said, 19 years old, but they have until 2025. So that means
Impressive.
that means that they have control. That if his value
Mhm.
shoots up, they can demand a certain price for him if they were to sell him to a bigger club and flip him for a lot.
For sure.
If they were to do that, but it's hopefully he'll become a good player. But obviously, it's a lot of potential. And speaking of United potential, I do have to mention Diallo. Spent quite a bit of money on him, almost 40 million,
Wow.
which is partly why I wouldn't give it the best signing, because A, it's potential, and B, it was still quite a large figure. So when you talk about Jovic coming back for a loan, you think about value for money. That's not real, great value for money. I mean, it's time will tell, right? And obviously you have to talk about Liverpool's deadline day signings, and we'll get more into it when we start going through some more questions. But Liverpool made 2 great signings. The reason why I didn't necessarily give those is because they're still, one player is a young player and one player played in the Championship, so he doesn't have Premier League experience. So they are quite, in their own ways, a bit of a swing for the fences. If they brought in someone with a track record, a bit older experience, because I think they're missing a leader at the back without Van Dijk. So even though it's good that they've addressed their issues, I wouldn't give it the best signing for those reasons, really.
Okay, yeah, no. So I had again bit biased. I think that the Özil and Jovic points are very good points.
I've never seen someone make more money doing less in my life.
Bro, tell me about it. It's crazy.
In life.
It's honestly crazy.
That's
but
not
yeah,
sorry. It is. That's shocking then. I mean, what it does, the benefits obviously getting him out of the way. But
poor management from the top at Arsenal, if I'm honest. But yeah, me personally, I think it's going to sound it's an Arsenal signing that I think is one of the top ones of the window. It's going to be a have to wait to see kind of thing with him. But Martin Odegaard, I think, on loan is a great deal. I mean, obviously it's on loan. I don't think there has been any mention of an option to buy as of yet that I know of. But I know that Real Madrid aren't in. Actually, they're not in great financial state right now. And I know that they have said in an article somewhere that if they get a right price for a player, they're willing to sell. So it's potential that if he does fit into this system that Arteta's creating here at Arsenal, potentially they could look to buy him. And although it depends. With the emergence of Emile Smith-Rowe, I am wondering how much he's going to be implementing into this team. Obviously, he hasn't been there too long, but he hasn't started either of the games yet. He's been on the bench, and when he has come on, he has not come on for a great amount of time. So it's going to be a wait and see for this one. I did have some honourable mentions, such as I think Josh King to Everton's a great sign-in for them on loan, as we've seen a lot of loan signings. The other one I wanted to mention as well, you've already brought up Kabak for Liverpool, but Morgan Sanson from Marseille to Aston Villa, I think is a great move for him, and also for Villa to bring in someone in the midfield as well.
Yeah, and just as that final point as well, he's 26, I believe. So when you think about Villa and the state they're in, they're very much like a compete now mode. I'm gonna say win now because but they're in a compete now mode. They're like looking around and they're saying, hold on a sec. Why can't we challenge for Europa this year? And they've gone out and done a signing that makes a clear statement, in the transfer market that, was a bit dry compared to recent years for obvious reasons, all over the world. But they've spent a bit of money and they've said, you know what, we want to add to our squad, a bit more depth, but more importantly, we just want to have a bit more quality to do everything we can to try and compete for Europa because we're suddenly right here. So
exactly, it's a great signing. I think it's more of an immediate signing though. Like you just said, they recognise where they are and they're like, okay, right, we're here now. So we've got to now adapt and we've got to bring in some players. And for me, I think centre midfield was one of the main positions that Aston Villa needs to address. So to get someone like Sanson in, who's, as you said, 26 years old from Marseille, already proven quality and you can't really argue with it. It's a great signing in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. If Liverpool brought in that kind of player as a defender, that and it was the same sort of quality as Kabak, maybe even only because Kabak's going to get better, right? And he's still a great player at that. Very strong in the air in terms of winning aerial duels and battles on the pitch. Scored a lot of headers as well. But yeah, And then just to address your Arsenal point, and I think Jovan, as an Arsenal fan, may want to touch on it as well. The only reason why I didn't give it the best signing, because he is a top player, is remember, it's a loan for half the season. So by the time, as you kind of mentioned, he settles into the squad, the window for him playing is not that long.
True.
And on top of that as well, you have the fact that, again, as we said, there's no option to buy. So at least if they had that option that they knew that they were going to sign him, if he proves himself, that was there, because he may, play well and then go back to Madrid, and that's that, and then you're stuck in the same position. Obviously, as you said, Smith Rowe is playing very well recently, so that could be an emergence of a new young, English player, which is great for a team like Arsenal. We've brought in a lot of international players, but it may have been that the discussion with Madrid and they couldn't agree on a fee, so it may have been that they were trying to get an option to buy. I imagine that could have been the case. Those sorts of reasons were why I didn't have it as my best signing. But Jovan, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I think from my perspective, it's more about the departures for Arsenal. I think Arsenal have had one of if you look at club by club, there's not much deals going on. You mentioned there's a lot of loans going on. So overall, Arsenal's done pretty well. They've done 11 deals. However, 8 of them have been in the departures, which is most important, I would say. Odegaard for me, okay. Odegaard is probably a type of guy that excites a lot of fans. He obviously is a good player, exciting player. At one point, I think when he was 15, 16 years old, he was turning the heads of almost everyone in football, all the scouts and the clubs were after him. Obviously, he hasn't found success at Real Madrid, which a lot of good players, it's seemingly they're either loving it or they're hating it. Like look at Bale, look at obviously Jovic, what kind of player he is, and Odegaard. Maybe he's just not fitting in the system. So that could work out for Arsenal. But I think it's mostly on the just getting rid of the dead wood, or at least putting players in positions where they can play and develop. And I think Arteta, credit to him, he's done a really good job, I would say, given the situation, given how hard it is to make deals. And I don't know if you want to talk about it now or if you want to talk about 5 minutes. It doesn't really matter to me. But we can talk more about the departures, because that is where the talking points are, in my opinion, for Arsenal.
We'll get into that 100%. So, so I mean, we're kind of split there in terms of our opinions. But some great signings.
Don't get me wrong. It's a great thing. I'm not going to come here and say I wouldn't like to come to Arsenal. It's a typical Arsenal move, get a big guy in for they obviously didn't pay too much. And I would much rather see him there in the 10 role than Ozil, obviously.
Yeah.
However, I think we have to be realistic and look at it for what it is. If he does well and we somehow sign him, I think it's only a plus for sure.
I've got a nice little question actually for both of you. So part of our reasons for the Luka Jovic choice is that obviously Jovan is Serbian, but I still agree with it, so that's saying something. But obviously the part of the reason is that the team that sold him got him back on loan. Was that a factor, would you say, Jovan? The fact that you sold him for so much money and get him back?
I mean,
so sure. He knows the club and the culture and everything. He's got a connection with the fans, all of that. So my question is, if Arsenal had kept Odegaard when he was younger, and he sold him to Real Madrid for a big fee, and then he'd come back on loan like he did now, would that be more of a consideration to the best signing in the window?
I don't know, because here, listen, Jovic left Eintracht a few years ago. Maybe not as much as that. So it's more.
But he's come back a better player.
Has he? I mean, that's a big debate. I think you would think so. But the point is, you can count probably on a few hands how many games he's played for Real Madrid in this time. I think for him, it's been something that's affected his confidence a lot. Obviously, going to a big club, one of the biggest clubs in the world, which is great. Some people can talk what they want about Zidane. For me, as a manager, he's nothing special. He's won 2-3 Champions Leagues, but I mean, I'm sure the three of us could maybe get close to a Champions League final with that squad. Brainstorming and together. So for me, nothing special. What stories I've heard about how he works. Again, I don't know for certain, so I can't really comment too much. But the point is maybe he has come back a better player because he has the experience. But for me, you have to be playing week in, week out. And from a bias perspective, from a Serbia, obviously fan of the Serbian national team, I want a player that's playing week in, week out and scoring goals.
Yeah.
And even if he's at a worse club, I don't care because he's in the Bundesliga, a good league with a good team that had them in the Europa League when he was there and performing well.
So my question actually to both of you is like, are we looking at it now from the team's perspective or the player's perspective? Because in my eyes, it doesn't necessarily benefit Eintracht Frankfurt. Yeah, they'll have a strong end to the season, but if he's not staying past this short loan period, it might benefit Real Madrid. They might get a better player back. But in terms of Frankfurt and the signing for that team, it's only a short-term goal, and I don't know too much about Bundesliga, but Frankfurt, I'm not sure they're necessarily challenging for the league, or maybe they are challenging for a European spot. Maybe one of you two could help me on that. But how much benefit does this 6 months? Oh, he knows the club and he can have an impact, but long-term sort of impact. What are you guys thinking?
Let me put it to you this way: they've spent less than €1 million for him for the loan.
Mm-hmm.
He's already scored. He's played 4 games, scored 3 goals. So I think it's a massive deal in terms of it benefits them a lot in this next 6 months, but also going into next season in terms of where they finish in the league. Obviously the money that goes with it. Can they get into Europe? Obviously,
very true.
Tough season this season. But again, it benefits them, immensely. I think, and I mean, I think the winners there are probably everyone. You always she wants to be. I don't know if he really even enjoyed that much living and playing for Real Madrid, given the fact that he didn't know the language. I'm not sure how well he speaks German. However, it just makes sense from all 3 parties, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Jovan made the point I was going to make about the fact that, I think Jovan missed the point as well. One point is the money you win. So if they do better because of the presence of Jovic and the goals he brings, the assists he brings, they're going to finish higher. And, in these big leagues, every position has quite a lot of value in terms of the, the difference in money you receive from one to the next. It's not minimal. It's quite a lot. So that's the first thing. And then the second point as well, if they're winning more, partly because of his addition, not completely, but partly, the players are going to have this more collective confidence that will improve them in the following season. If they have a higher finish and they have a good finish of the season, they're going to go into next season feeling much more confident, right? And they can push on, So that's another point.
This is a no-brainer. It's
yeah.
They're going to make money off this deal, whether it means that they go from finishing mid-table to potentially in Europa League spot. I'm not sure, but it's a great.
And there's not even there's no downsides to it, especially with the loan. No downsides whatsoever. So let's move on, Dan.
Yeah, no, it will be interesting to see if he stays. That's the only thing. Maybe he will sign back there permanently. But it'll be interesting to see. I think he'll make them a much better team. But let's have a look now at the biggest bargains of the transfer window. Obviously, there weren't too many big money moves. There weren't too many actual permanent transfers. It was, as we've said multiple times already, a lot of loans. I'll start off by saying I think Leverkusen, we just talked about it before. I only noted Damari Gray and Fosu Mensah from United and Damari Gray from Leicester. But then you two both mentioned about Frimpong, the right back from Celtic. They bought in all very, very low prices. And you think of this market now, there is a pandemic currently in this world, which could be affecting prices. But even so, I mean, price tags for young players, price tags for any player is going up at the moment. It has been going up for a number of years now. So to get Damari Gray for about £2 million and Fosu Mensah for 1.8, I think are absolute steals, really. And again, it will be about waiting game. But I think Bundesliga will be good for both of their careers as well, not just for the team that's signing them. Maybe they can develop in this league and become a better player, and then maybe a return to the Premier League is on the cards, or maybe they like Germany so much they want to stay there. But Jovan, what are your thoughts on bargains? Who do you think got the best value for money for a player?
You look at the players that went from Arsenal, that went to West Brom and Newcastle. I think looking at that a little bit even more is those clubs are both, and I think we could say for certain, are teams that are fighting for relegation, right? And they're gonna get some players, young players that potentially could help them get out of that rut. I mean, we did a poll in terms of which club got the better player. I obviously think West Brom, Sam Allardyce has a player now, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, like that can potentially help him get out. Now, I was looking yesterday at the actual relegation zone, and the more and more we look at it, your Brighton, Hove Albion, and obviously Newcastle as well, they're pushing away. So for me, obviously, again, biased as an Arsenal perspective, but I think both, West Brom with Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Joe Willock going to Newcastle are pretty good deals in terms of getting a loan player and obviously helping them try to get out and stay in the Premier League next season.
So you're saying they're better than the deals that Leverkusen picked up?
No.
You're saying Leverkusen was the best, but honourable mention.
For sure. I mean, from my perspective, again, like I'm not a on every single, but for me, I think this is another thing where you look at in a market where it's obviously there's not much action going on, that that's a pretty good deal from an Arsenal perspective, but I think as well from a relegation fight perspective.
Yeah, well, okay. And again, this is strange because usually, obviously, I quite like attacking both of you, but it's kind of hard because these are all kind of, I think, quite straightforward answers. I think you can't argue that, bringing those two players in is a phenomenal deal. And there's been a track record recently of not just Premier League players, but English players going to the Bundesliga, having success. You look at Dortmund, right? Jadon Sancho. Been top. He's had a bit of a rough season, but he's picking up. And Jude Bellingham from Birmingham.
Oh.
If you asked me where he was going, I would say maybe a Prem team. That's what you tend to think, right? Or maybe Barca or Real Madrid. I wouldn't have said, Dortmund or Bayern Munich, but
yeah,
and he's doing really well there. He's doing really well, and they've got a very good development system at Dortmund for developing these players and hopefully keeping them on. But worst case, flipping them for, 9 figures. It's that's how they do it. So fair play to them. But yeah, going back to Leverkusen, two players who haven't quite cracked it yet, as in terms of regular football in the Premier League, but playing for two good teams though. So they're always going to be competitive to get into the first team squad, but even just to come on as a sub, never mind getting into the actual starting 11. But I like if you're gonna gamble on hoping a couple players have they're both still young, so they're still young enough to have a sudden resurgence or kind of a growth. They're both young, and you got them for very cheap. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're spending 10, 15, 20 mil on them. You're spending like really pennies on the dollar, really, when you think
exactly,
about
2 mil.
In perspective of some of the signings just in this window, never mind like other windows where the market's been a bit more, competitive in terms of value and things like that. So yeah, two great deals. Frimpong as well for just under 10 million. Look, he'll have to prove that value. He's only 20 years old, so but a lot of potential. And I like what they've done. Bringing in some great players, and we'll see. And that sort of money, you're never going to say that was a bad deal. Do you know what I mean? You're never going to say if they don't quite fill the shoes. You're just going to say, okay, well, maybe they're only worth 3-4 mil anyway. So you got your money's worth, and that's a worst case. So it's rare to see those kind of bargains nowadays, and especially so. That was impressive. So I think there's no doubt that those are the biggest bargains. In terms of the loans Jovan touched on, Maitland-Niles, great signing, well played to West Brom, but it's too little too late. They're down. And also West Brom have major defensive issues. So bringing in an attacking, more attacking midfielder, I would personally say. I know he likes to play in the middle of the park, but he is, for me, more of an attacking player. When you're having serious defensive woes, that's not going to help. It's not going to save you. And Joe Willock, I mean, you can touch on more as Arsenal fans, but I know a lot of Arsenal fans don't rate him. I personally don't rate him. So I don't see him saving Newcastle's season. And you know what I think of Newcastle. So
let's go to the biggest winner team-wise. Yeah?
We'll start off here. I think obviously Schalke. You look at Schalke, Real Madrid, they're all busy. Even Liverpool there at the end, they're getting busy. Obviously for me, I'm going to break down now Arsenal's 11 actions of the window, which is quite a bit for a winter window in this situation. In terms of arrivals, 2 goalkeepers, one Macedonian goalkeeper, Dejan Iliev from Shrewsbury Town. League One. Interesting one. I guess just to add some competition there, or who knows?
Don't waste my time. Keep going.
Lottery. Matthew Royne from Brighton Hove Albion. It's a loan. So yeah, also Odegaard coming in. That's great. We talked about it already. We won't talk about it too much. Obviously, that's gonna if he is to come long term, that is actually a very, very, very good signing. If he's just here for the 6 months, it's also a great signing. At least they brought someone in, and creative attacking midfielder. Hopefully, he can help us get out of the bottom half. Well, we are right now 10th as we speak. Can we get into Europe? Let's hope.
No.
It's possible.
No.
And I said Europe. So Matt Macy has been a part of Arsenal for a while.
Yeah, long time.
The Hibs, that's a free transfer. Just I guess getting, it was time for him. He wanted to play more regular football. Makes a lot of sense. For me, getting rid of Said Kolasinac. Kolasinac is a player that, for us, I didn't mind him the way he played, but I think it was never going to work in terms of what Arteta wanted out of his team. So Kolasinac.
Are you pronouncing his name correctly? And every English person says his name wrong.
How would you say it?
Kolasinac.
It's obviously not that. You can answer your own question. He's from Bosnia. Not from
Okay.
Kolasinac. Kolasinac is I think how you pronounce it.
So he's the guy. Question. Jesus.
It's unnecessary question. But however, Schalke, he came from Schalke. He's back at Schalke, and he's gonna have to work for Schalke because they are in a position where they could go down this season. Mesut Ozil, we talked about it going to Fenerbahce. That came out of nowhere. I think we didn't expect that to happen, and it came out, and within a week, it seemed like it was done.
He has made the club look like absolute fools. Absolute fools. The amount of time he's been hanging around, trolling them, getting paid hundreds of thousands. Can we just let's not underplay this? It's not like the guy's on 40 grand a week. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. He's trolling them. He called them out when they got rid of their mascot, the junior gun or the Gunnosaurus, whatever his name is. He called them out for it. He made Arsenal Football Club look like absolute sods.
I would agree with that. Fully back that point. I wouldn't say he massively exposed the entire club or whatever, but I would agree with you in the sense that he exposed the management of players at this club. I mean, letting their contracts run down, but not even that. I mean, letting their contracts run down to the point where he's got 6 months on his deal and you pay. I honestly think, looking back, they should Mikel Arteta should have at least tried to play him, and try and fit him into a system and try and work it out, because Ozil's got undeniable talent. He hasn't left the best reputation at Arsenal, but I think some of the things he did for the club, I mean, just even one of the things there, like the Gunnosaurus pay, I think he paid his wages so that he can ensure that he come back.
No, Arsenal paid his wages because guess who pays Ozil?
No. A lot of players took that 30% wage cut, but I think he did, which is, in my opinion, I mean, no one can force. There's a lot of good opinions. I've heard a lot of good opinions about the fact that why should they, and it's true. All those arguments are right. However, come on, if everyone's doing it, given the situation, and the least he could do is pay a mascot wages, the least. However, I mean, there's not too much. Again, the management in terms of who deals with the contracts of the club, it's absolutely it's shambles, really. In my opinion,
I couldn't agree more. And to add to that point, I think your argument is Arsenal had the best transfer window out of any team, correct?
Yes, I think
from a team perspective. Well, I think the answer is only yes if you compare it to Arsenal. If you don't look at it on a playing field, if you look at Arsenal's reputation and their history, let's look recently. Willian, 3 years. What were you thinking? Okay, he had a great season at Chelsea last year, and even after the great season at Chelsea and how long he's been there, and the fact they snatched him from Tottenham, they still said, "Listen, we'll give you 2 years, but you're not getting 3 years out of us." They stood their ground. Arsenal, sure, come over, we'll give you 3 years.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at it in terms of, obviously, I don't know.
For the same, Jovan, for the same position of a player you signed £72 million for, who needs to have his time to really come into play.
Willian's a bit more versatile than a right winger. He can play. I like Willian at the cam, like what he is now, with a bit slower. He's slightly off the pace just because he's getting a bit older. I like him at the cam position, honestly, but no, I back that for sure.
I mean,
yeah.
any top club, you need at least two competent players per position and players that play different positions. And that's what a world class club does. So I don't have any problems with that. In terms of the contracts, I mean, I don't know how much Arteta has to do with that. I'm assuming nowadays probably not as much. Those people hopefully are gonna. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think that they're gonna improve, but hopefully they do. But I'm talking about the reason why I think it's good is because since Arteta came, we knew he needs a lot of time to change. Guys like we mentioned, Kolasinac. I mean, he doesn't fit the bill. Get him out. Guys like obviously Ozil, he's sitting down. Get him out. Now Mustafi, we haven't talked about Mustafi. To me, he should have been out years ago, windows ago. Terrible player. I don't like him at all. The fact that he's gone, thankfully he went to Schalke as well. Socrates, I didn't mind the player. Obviously, he wasn't for us. He wasn't at a caliber of a Champions League side. So he went back to Olympiacos. In Saliba, the fact that we let him obviously join Nice on a loan. I mean, hopefully he's playing. Hopefully he's still developing. I mean, all that stuff for me. The fact that we've gotten rid of players that do not fit in our system, Mustafi, Ozil, who cause
and the books, from the books perspective as well.
Next, Xhaka, get Xhaka out. I don't know why he's still there. Get the guy out of here, and keep clearing because he's only started mopping the floor in my opinion. He has a lot of work to do. So for me, I'm happy with Arsenal.
Just touch on your thing about Saliba. For me, that's one of the most confusing transfers, and just like there's no real answer as to why he never played when he came. So he joined the team that he came from. I think who was it? St. Etienne. St. Etienne. Obviously he went back there. He finished the season and he was all ready to come to Arsenal. I thought, this is going to be lovely. Gabriel and Saliba make a lovely defensive partnership, and then couldn't get into the side.
Good point. Never thought.
And then like you see on social media, he had a back and forth. I think it was Lacazette. He was on a live stream. He was making some sort of cryptic sort of comments about him not getting an opportunity, and we never got answers as to why. And it's so confusing to me as an Arsenal fan to see this promising young French centre back who I didn't watch a lot of him, but I heard so many good things about him, and he's back out on loan. For me, that's confusing. Maybe, like everyone said, maybe hopefully. As an Arsenal fan, I hope he's.
I mean, I agree with you. I think Gabi and Saliba would have been a good partnership. But again, name me, unless I'm completely out of it, two center backs that are, I don't know how old Gabriel is.
22. Gabriel's 22 years old. Yeah.
Have 22 and 19 to be your week in week out center back.
It's a young partnership.
Young partnership to have in such a strong influential position for the style that we want to play. So no, to be honest with you, I mean, I hear where you're coming from, but I mean, there's time, right? And I think
100%.
Let him go. Obviously, I think him and Arteta, there's something going on there that we don't know about. And that's the thing. For me, I don't love to talk about, okay, he should do this. When you mentioned he should have played Ozil, well, who knows the conversations they've had. And for me, you always have to back the manager. For me, I'm always going to be like that. Because, at the end of the day, if I'm going to back every player, the player could do whatever he wants. For me, you have to back the manager. And if he doesn't like him, the manager will get found out if he makes multiple bad decisions. It will get found out the playing. So back him until things really go sour. Obviously, if they haven't sacked Arteta till this time, then when will they? This season at least, because things have picked up a little bit. But no, I mean it's a good point. We don't know half the story all the time. That's always how it's going to be. But let him mature. It's only a short-term loan, so hopefully he's going to be the starting center back for Arsenal in the years to come. Hopefully.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to answer this question now. Best window for a team. As I said, Arsenal for me aren't the ones because yes, if you compare it to previous seasons or recent history, it's a very good window for them. But it's not special. They should have got rid of these players ages ago. It's about time they stopped sitting on their hands. And it's rare to look at Arsenal and say, "Good job," off and on the pitch. Not even just on the pitch, off and on the pitch. And look at Arsenal and say, thumbs up to you, mate. Good job. Apart from winning the FA Cup, but apart from that, it's more like so impressive that they've finally done something. So obviously Bayern Leverkusen picking up some bargains. They were in the running for me. Liverpool as well, addressing problems that they needed to. However, similar point to what Jovan was saying about having those two centre backs young. Okay, you think about Nathaniel Phillips. He's been doing quite well. He's only 23, but again, he's not a proven out-and-out Premier League player, A, and B, 23. So if you pair him up with Kabak, 20 years old, I don't know. Ben Phillips, coming in from Preston, again, not a proven Premier League player. So, as I said, if there was something Liverpool could have done to make it a little bit better, I would have just said, get a proven leader in there. They've got Jordan Henderson, but problem is, he's not a centre-back. It doesn't feel right seeing him play there. He's been doing a good job in there, but it's not like I'm looking at this guy and be like, he could be a centre-back. I don't see
He's doing a good job, but you're going to have to think permanently wise. Like, you have to think this guy's got to play at centre half now for another half a season, and they've got to put a fucking grind in to get... I think they're already losing. It's a conversation for a whole different time, but they're losing slip on the top for me. Jordan Henderson's sitting in there. Yikes!
So credit to Liverpool for saying, you know what, we need to act now. We can't hold out any longer.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Getting
100%.
in and doing something to get him to also secure him on a loan and have to deal with the finances at the end of the season. Good job.
It's a no-brainer.
However, none of those are my best team. My best team, and I think this might surprise you guys a bit. It is Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid are my best team in the window. And I'm
Where has that come from, Morgan?
I'm going to tell you why. Because we've had discussions, obviously, on episode 15. You guys talked about Atletico Madrid in your Champions League review, and I think you guys did a great job of that. They're running away with the Liga. Unless they go on some bad form, very possible. And obviously, Real Madrid, Barcelona, you could see them picking up, 12 from 12, 15 from 15, whatever it may be. So that gap could close very quickly. But they look in control right now. And obviously, you think they've come close.
They won La Liga sort of recently, but not like last couple of years. But yeah.
So you think about Atletico Madrid. They have won La Liga, but obviously would want to do it again. But losing in the final to Real Madrid, they've never won the Champions League. So that would be something that'd be a dream. And they've gone out and they've gone Moussa Dembele on loan. Still a young player, he's 24. And Jeffrey Kondogbia for I think it was about 13 million, which is a very decent price. It's not a bargain, but it's like, if you ask me how much a team I'd expect to pay max, I'd say 15 to 20 max. So again, for 13 million, that's a very good price. So you know what? Atletico Madrid have gone and said, look, they could have just said, look, we're happy with what we have. But they've said, you know what? Hold on a second. We're competing for a Spanish title that we haven't won for a while against two teams that are...
Huge.
Pardon?
Which would be amazing for them.
Exactly. Massive for the club. Massive. Because, in the last 5 years, it's been like they had that huge surge, remember, when they came out of nowhere? And then they were like, everyone's like, wow, Atletico, the top three now. And then they've kind of fizzled a bit,
They did, yeah.
Well, resources, man. I mean, they had the
exactly.
The stadium is one of the best,
exactly.
It's incredible.
Exactly. They held on to João Felix, arguably the best player of his age. And Diego Costa, free transfer, top goal scorer in the Liga. Wow. Okay. So you look at all that, and it's very easy to say, we're happy, we're going to leave it. But they've said, you know what, we're trying to win this title. We're not backing down, but we're also trying to win the Champions League. We're not just going to prioritize one or another like you guys kind of discussed. We're going for both. There's no prioritization here. We're going for both. So what do? We get a bit more depth and we add two quality players. 24-year-old Moussa Dembele, a good forward. You're looking about Jeffrey Kondogbia, 27 years old, experience, a good.
He's
strong,
a really good player. He's a really, really good player.
6'2", tall, holding midfielder. So if you think don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they both immediately walk into the starting lineup. But I'm saying if you're thinking about two strong players to increase your depth that sometimes may start, sometimes could come off the bench, those are two great signings. So for that reason, Atletico Madrid are my best team this transfer window.
It's a great point. It's a great point.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, they're gonna have to take advantage of a season where both Barcelona and Real Madrid aren't at their best. They're not consistent. They're all ready to go firing in the Champions League. So it's going to be tough. I mean, I agree with you. They've shown ambition. I really, in Spain, I back Atletico. I think, Simeone, he's a great manager. He holds that kind of fighting spirit mentality that I like. So to see them win the La Liga would be, again, super early to call anything. And Morgan brought up a good point, you could just see them winning the next 15 games, just like this, Barcelona, Real Madrid. So they're gonna have to keep getting results. And then with the obviously Champions League as a distraction for a lot of these teams, they're not gonna prioritize, that's for sure. So they're gonna go full-fledged and go.
And these transfers show that, and I think that's great. On the topic of Atletico Madrid, we are excited to announce that we have a coach coming in from Atletico Madrid. His name will be revealed soon. There's a +1 on TFF, so stay tuned for that as well.
For sure. I think it's just left for me to crown my biggest winner of the transfer window. I'd obviously looked at Arsenal about the amount of players they got rid of and sort of the players they brought in. But, it's a way, as I said before, Ødegaard, I think Matt Ryan obviously it speaks for himself, really. He's a proven sort of Premier League standard goalkeeper. And then obviously Rakik as well from Hertha Berlin. Sort of is a waiting game, really, for Arsenal. I really, really like what West Ham United did. I really do like what West Ham United did.
Okay, so Arsenal aren't your team for the best...
Do you know what? After evaluating it, no. West Ham, for me...
Stop talking.
What's going on?
He's learning. Thank you.
West Ham, yeah.
The answer is not always Arsenal. Well done, Dan. I'm so proud of you. Mm-hmm. Wait, Dan, I want you to say your point about West Ham. You didn't get to say it.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I just want to highlight some of West Ham's sort of major deals, or the biggest one that I noticed anyway. So they, I don't know if you guys know, but they made Ben Rama from Brentford. That was a permanent made official this January, because I think they had to do a loan when it was in the summer. Obviously, they got Jesse Lingard, and if he plays, I think he could be a really good addition. If he gets back to the sort of streaky form we were seeing him on at United, I think that could be a good addition. And obviously, they got rid of players that I think maybe would have been taking up some wages in the book. So like Haller, they managed to get 20 mil for him. It's not probably the amount of money they wish they would have recouped for him, but they got 20 mil. They got something for him, and obviously his wages are now off the book. And they also got rid of Robert Snodgrass. I thought he did actually all right at West Ham, but obviously he's now at West Brom. That was a permanent deal. So again, more wages off. And the sole reason, or those moves, and the main reason I think why this is such a good January transfer window for West Ham is because at the moment, as Jovan said, these guys are actually pushing for European football this season. The moves they made, Ben Rama, and then they got Lingard on loan, getting rid of the wages, it's going to set them so nicely up for them to have a big summer. West Ham aren't known for necessarily having the best transfer windows, but I think if they put their heads together, bring in David Moyes when they're deciding on some targets, he is going to instill this, as you said, Everton 2.0 kind of vibe. And this January window is going to set them up perfectly for a fantastic summer transfer window. And I'm looking forward to seeing West Ham next season already. I'm looking forward to seeing West Ham next season.
Yep. Wait, so yeah, great, Dan. Great points, mate. I completely agree.
West Ham, obviously, I really can't wait till we start talking about West Ham in more depth, because the fact that not many people are seeming to be kind of picking up on the fact that they're fighting for Champions League football. I mean, exactly. Now, and David Moyes has basically created what he did at Everton 2.0. Now, again, it's early, but where they are right now is they've shown it's no longer 10 games in the Premier League. We're over halfway now, so it's substantial in terms of what he's doing. So hopefully we'll talk about it in another episode. in terms of biggest winner, we talked about it a few times. For me, Eintracht Frankfurt, because they have a player that could get them single-handedly in the Champions League in the top 4 this season, which financially, the fact that they've invested 1 million euros probably for this deal, and they're going to get a striker that knows the club inside and out, that has already scored 3 goals in his first 4 appearances since coming back. I mean, it would surprise a lot of us if he doesn't keep going on that. And those goals, I mean, if he scores another 10 goals for the club, those 10 goals could be the goals that get you into the Champions League, which is massive money and massive for a club like that. So for me, Eintracht Frankfurt definitely is there. It looks like we have a red card in this match. Jovan Pelvik will be sent off the pitch. Absolute nightmare of a game today. So he's gone off. It doesn't look like there's any match ban to add to that.
This guy's got a bit of a case of the Southampton fever. Or the Arsenal fever, for that matter. Right, so once there was 3, now there is 2. Jovan has been sent off from this podcast. Shocking, really. Yeah, it's surprising. And I don't feel very confident with Dan, because what you guys don't know yet, that I do know, is that yesterday we filmed an episode with Matt Lockwood, coming out in a couple of weeks. Best episode yet, so exciting. And we filmed this episode, and we were like, you know what? Let's give Dan his no-name football game debut.
Let's not give too much away, bro. Let's not give too much away.
Shocking. That's all I have to say. I will not give too much away. But
bro.
I'm still trying to get over it, and I'm still trying to forgive him. Because I hand him the reins, and it's been disappointing. Anyway, so
biggest winners as players as the transfer window. So I think Jesse Lingard. Honestly, Jesse Lingard, I know I've just touched on West Ham. I know I've just touched on I think they're a biggest winners as a club, as a whole. Jesse Lingard now has a chance. He's 27. I understand that, but still a lot of time. Okay. Jesse Lingard has a chance to reignite his career. West Ham could not have been a more perfect fit for Jesse Lingard right now. They're a club that's on the up. They've got places to fill in that squad. It's not like they've got this squad that's not filled with players of pure quality that's going to push him out of the team. This guy has a chance to reignite his career, and it's down to him now to show England and international selection is still a possibility, and the world what he's got to offer. I like him. Not a lot of people do, but I like him. I like what I saw for parts at United. So I'm hopeful that he can reignite his career. I want him to. I honestly want him to, because I know he's been through a lot, especially in the past few years. And I really hope that he can reignite his career. And it's a perfect fit. So as a player, biggest winner, I'm giving it to Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, and I mean, just to summarize your point in fewer words, if you're looking for a team who are competitive and you actually are going to win games, and not just a team struggling that need a good player, a team that's going to also give you opportunities, it's going to value you. I don't think there's much better fits in the Premier League, at least, than West Ham for Jesse Lingard.
Exactly.
So I think that's a fantastic point that I wasn't even going to say. My winners were obviously going to be Omar Kabak and Ben Davies going to Liverpool, because you've got 100%. One player in the Championship suddenly going to be given, in my opinion, decent minutes at Liverpool. I don't think he's going to be a backup bench player. I think he's going to, because you think about signings, I think Dele Alli's an exception. I know we'll come back to him very soon, but I think Dele Alli's an exception that he went from MK Dons to Spurs, and he skyrocketed in terms of talent and everything. So
not so much anymore, but that's okay.
No, but usually when you sign a player from a lower league club, they sit on the bench, they never really get their chance, or they go on loan. Jack Clark at Spurs from Leeds, he's gone on loan to Stoke now. That tends to be the pattern, but I think Ben will get some minutes.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially with the injuries of Gomez and Van Dijk. But also Kabak. Let's talk about Kabak for a second. Let's talk about a player who was at a team who were struggling with Mainz as well, right at the bottom of the Bundesliga, and quite frankly, look relegated with 8 points, and Mainz have 10 points. So to get out of that situation, I mean, I'm sure he enjoyed it at the club, but to get out of that situation and be able to now play for the former Premier League champions and a team who
huge move
he will
for
get.
him.
yeah, he'll get regular minutes at. He'll be one of the starting players. And if he proves himself, he's now got a window to prove himself as a player.
Sure.
And there's no reason why Van Dijk and Kabak can't be a phenomenal, maybe the best combination in the Premier League.
That sounds kind of filthy. Now you speak about it.
You've got a player, similar sort of players in the way that they're both. Imagine trying to defend a corner with Van Dijk and Kabak coming, or free kick.
Bro. Whew.
And Liverpool aren't even a team that like score a lot of their goals from there. But I mean, the threat that you'd have,
of course.
And I can't see them conceding a corner with those two, marking the centre of the box. I just can't. I just can't see it. And solid. And think about how much Van Dijk could teach him. I see Kabak being a future Van Dijk. Has the potential to be a leader. He's young. He's strong. He's fierce. He's aggressive. He ranks very well in terms of aerial duels won, and also duels like just battles won on the pitch.
Can I just say though, I think if we're looking at Kabak now, I think this guy has you've seen it with a lot of these teams. I just said Jesse Lingard. I think he probably will play a decent amount of minutes for West Ham. Look at Kabak, right? Liverpool, they're without any real central defenders. They signed the guy from Preston. Yeah. He has got no better opportunity to show his worth, not just to Liverpool, but to the rest of Europe, who are potentially looking at signing him before Liverpool came in for him. With both their centre-backs out, he's got no better chance to prove himself at the current champions of England and in one of the best leagues in the world. He will almost certainly start the remainder of games this season if he proves himself. And if obviously Liverpool want to select him, there's no better opportunity for this guy. And we'll see. Gods. We'll see if he's got it or not. Yeah, we'll see if he's got it or not. It's time for him to prove himself now. So I'm
having a deja vu. You said that about someone else very recently.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty. Yeah.
I can't remember. It's on episode 15.
Episode 15.
Chelsea. Timo Werner. You were like
Timo Werner. Yeah. I'm talking to the players now, bro. Even though they're not watching, I'm talking to the players.
Potential next to their job.
Exactly, bro.
Right. So, do you want to get on to losers now?
Losers.
Players.
Yeah, I've got one that you might be a little bit surprised with, mate. Honestly,
I'm excited because I thought that mine's quite obvious, so I want to hear yours.
Okay. I think my biggest loser is Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I've been thinking a lot about this. I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a loser for me. Not loser. I think he's a good player.
He's just a big loser.
Yeah. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, if you're watching this for whatever reason, I do not think you're a loser. I very much like you, but this is why I'm considering
we'd love to get him on the pod.
Loser.
Now he's never going to come on. Now we're going to have to get Joe Willock on. Are you kidding me? What have you done?
Christ. But no, the reason I think he's one of the biggest losers in this transfer window is because he's a good player. It's a positive within the negative. I think he's better than West Bromwich Albion. I'm not going to lie. I needed time to grow into Maitland-Niles. First, he was being shoved in all these different positions. I really like him as a CDM. I know he hasn't played there a great deal, but I think he could grow into that role. I'm not sure about him at right wing back for now, or right back wherever you want to play him, right wing back, right back, whatever system. I took time to grow and actually admire him, but I actually think he could do a real job for Arsenal. Not right now. He's 24, I think, 23, 24-ish. So, maybe it's looking at a longer term for Arsenal, but I think he's better than West Brom. If you send that on loan, I think why put him in a relegation scrap position? I mean, you look at someone like, I know Leeds don't need a right back, but I'm talking about a team in Leeds position, sort of that mid-table sort of, looking to push into that top half. Yeah, sort of a Wolves type. He was rumoured to go to Wolves in the summer or even January. I think he was rumoured to go to Wolves for a bit.
Yeah, I could see him.
West Brom's. I don't like not necessarily the fit. I'm not denying he won't fit there. I don't like the move. I don't like the move for him. I think that why have Arsenal warranted him to go to West Bromwich Albion, who are almost certainly down under a big Sam? Why would you send? Nah, don't make sense.
Yeah. Right. Well, I'll be honest. I was looking forward to hearing that, but I'm feeling quite underwhelmed after that because.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because I do hear what you're saying. But for me, Maitland-Niles, he's got now a chance for regular minutes. There's no doubt he's starting 11 quality player for West Brom. And he's going to get regular minutes playing for a team. He can play well and lose, even if they lose games, right? He can play well and them losing games. And when push comes to shove, West Brom are down. When they get relegated, he doesn't have to stay around. He just goes back to Arsenal. And he may be some good form. He may go back to Arsenal. He may be able to... West Brom is still an opportunity to prove himself, right? He can still do that, no doubt. No doubt. So the way... And I get what you're saying, that it's a bit of in terms of a team that's a bit weaker, so maybe harder to get the opportunity to have good games. But I think he still can. He's a good enough player that he can still get on the ball, create things, and prove himself as a player, whichever position they decide to play him in. I do like him as a centre mid, but he is good up and down the channel as well. So for me, I would say actually that if we're kind of making these arguments, I'd say that a loser is Joe Willock, because the guy's not that great already, in my opinion. He's never come at Arsenal. Now you go to Newcastle, who are the worst team in the Premier League, I think. Maybe behind West Brom, are the worst team in the Premier League.
I mean, I disagree, but yeah, sure.
What do Newcastle do? Like, think about a central midfield player. What do Newcastle offer for a central midfield player? They just sit behind the ball.
Yeah.
There's not that much opportunity.
I mean,
he's not got that much opportunity to run around and create things. That's not how they play. They sit behind the ball, look for a quick counter, hoof it up to Callum Wilson, or try and win a corner where someone gets their head on it. It's not going to be Joe Willock. So Joe Willock's already a bit, questionable in terms of being an Arsenal player. But for me, this opportunity of going to Newcastle's only going to end one way, and that's him looking even worse. And then you're thinking, okay, Arsenal really needs to get rid of this guy now. So for me, Joe Willock's definitely a bigger loser in that regard. But did you want to add to that point?
I mean, no, I was just going to say, I think personally, I mean, it's not really adding to it as such, but I just think personally he should have gone overseas, maybe to a Germany or somewhere. Do you know what? When you started saying it, I was a little bit pessimistic. I was like, where's he going with this? But now you say it, the fit does not fucking work for Joe Willock at Newcastle United. Don't fucking work. I don't think he's going to play, and it's not a good fit. It's not a good fit for me.
Like, he should have gone somewhere like France where they go, Joe Willock? Who is this? Who is this, Joe Willock? Okay.
I honestly think Bundesliga. I think Bundesliga would have been perfect.
It doesn't really matter. That was just because I don't know why I tried the French accent. That was terrible. But I'm not the one for accents,
but somewhere like France or Germany would have been good.
Yeah, my point being somewhere in Europe where they don't really know him and he's got a chance of a fresh start, and he can make a home there. Look at, I mean, he's a bit younger than Willock and he's always had more potential, but like Madueke, best English player right now for me, in the five, well, he's not even in the 5 leagues, but he's obviously doing amazing at PSV. I'd love to see him in the Premier League. Great young player. What's he, 20? Maybe not even. Very good. So it was a chance for a fresh start, I think, to at least go on loan, prove himself, and maybe the team will want to buy him if he does well. So don't stay in the Premier League where you've already got a reputation as being a bit of a joke player, like in terms of one of those at Arsenal that is just never gonna, do anything. So biggest loser. So that's why I said Joe Willock, but the answer I was originally going to go for, and it's kind of obvious, but it has to be Dele Alli, right? Has to be. Obviously, you think about Ali and Lingard, very similar positions. Lingard's got his shot, and Ali hasn't. Mourinho can be very... I know a lot of agents who have fallen out with Mourinho because he's insistent. Harry Winks, he's playing well, but he's not regularly starting. He is getting games, but he wants to be someone who's always on that starting 11. I think at the age of 24 now, maybe even 25, but I think still 24, he's earned that, I think he's a consistent enough player that he's earned the chance of that. And he's been rumoured to have some offers in the tens of millions from teams. Mourinho will not have it at all.
PSG were one of them. I know PSG were one of them. Ali needs to get out of Spurs. It's as simple as that, bro. It's as simple as that. Ali needs to leave Spurs.
Yeah,
Jose Mourinho is one of the most stubborn managers you're going to meet. If he don't like you, he don't like you. And you're not going to make that team. You can try. Ali should have been given his shot ages ago. And the fact that he hasn't up to this point in Jose Mourinho's reign, he needs to leave. Whether that might be to PSG, I don't know and I don't care. He needs to leave. But yeah.
Yeah. I think Mourinho is more about getting the best out of players more so than developing players, because they're two different things. They are two different things. Developing is improving upon what a player currently has, and getting the best out of a player is just utilizing everything they already have in their skill set or
True.
ability, what they possess. So I don't think that and Dele Alli needs a fresh start. Again, it would be nice for him to get out of England. I think Lingard got a great fit there, and Ali would have also been a great fit for me there. But now I think he needs a new start. Definitely.
For sure.
I think Leeds would have been. There were a couple rumors about Leeds actually. I could see him fitting in well at Leeds in that kind of centre mid, kind of pushing up a Rodrigo type of position. Would be interesting. Bro. But again, Bielsa wouldn't throw him in there, so that's part of the problem. He needs to go somewhere where he gets regular
fully
minutes.
backed by the manager.
Exactly, and he could have partnered up again with Poch at PSG.
Now you say that, the PSG seems like an even more better fit for him. Got in that he wouldn't have been able to go PSG, or maybe we'll see in the summer. We'll see,
but definitely a loser for me.
Yeah, and just to sort of, as we're coming to the end of this sort of transfer episode, I'm really interested to hear this major takeaways from this window. What is I've got a few points here, but like, what's your overall takeaway from this January transfer window? What are you thinking?
My first thinking is that this season has been rather insane. I mean, I'm talking more about the Premier League now. This is where I'm tuning in my focus, but this has been an absolutely insane season. Nothing like we've ever seen before, with factors that we've never had to consider before, such as, the schedule we have, the no fans, the coronavirus protocols stopping teams from training, matches being suspended, all of these things. And it's led to a lot of uncertainty. And I think that's why teams have been hesitant to go out in the window, because of this uncertainty. They don't know what's going on. So they think it's best just to play out the season. And it is a very topsy-turvy season at that. So, I mean, that was my first takeaway. Another takeaway, obviously, we've touched on it a couple of times, and I'm sure it was something you were going to say, but many teams are struggling financially. Maybe not struggling, but have definitely been negatively affected financially.
Yeah,
so much
100%.
So that they weren't willing to spend in the market, and they get loan players, They brought in some loan players. The only team that really capitalized on the drop in value is Chelsea, who spent a lot, obviously, but maybe they wouldn't have done the same if the market was like at the same kind of booming rate it's been in the last 5 years. But yeah, I mean, so many of these players. If you just look around at transfers, I mean, we've touched on some of them, but there's a lot more. If you look around at the transfers, you'll notice. Go on Transfer Market, very popular website. We follow them, great stuff. If you go on Transfer Market and you go look, a lot of players are going for less or the same as their value. Usually especially even young players, as I touched on, Jeffrey Kondogbia went for 13 mil, roughly where he's valued at. But he's a good player and he's only 27. So you could easily see him with going for 20 mil, but only one. So, deals like that, in that kind of range, that 10, 20 mil range, players going for their value. So the market's tough.
Maybe it's time for teams to pick up a bargain. Maybe some teams missed opportunities. You never know.
Maybe, exactly.
You never know what some players' values were.
Yeah. Look at Leverkusen for sure. Those are my two biggest takeaways. Another one as well that I haven't mentioned, that I'm disappointed in, to be honest. Sheffield United, okay? Here you are. You've got to swing for the mother fences right now. You have to swing. Chris Wilder's talked about it in games,
I feel
right?
that.
Chris Wilder's talked about in games that the way they're approaching games now is they have absolutely nothing to lose, because they really don't. And that's why they're throwing centre-backs in the box and all of that. And it's going to be exciting to watch. But they have nothing to lose right now. So why on earth have you not done any business in this transfer window?
It's absolutely... I cannot believe it. When I looked down, I was looking at all the transfers that have been done, every single deal. I scrolled down, Sheffield United, no players, bro.
I understand the logic. Here's their logic, right? I know it. Here's their logic. They're saying, right, let's be realistic. There's a fair chance we're going down here, right? We're bottom of the league. It's not looking good. And the teams outside the relegation, Newcastle, if they're thinking like from deadline day, Newcastle picked up points, Brighton picked up points against teams you didn't expect them to. So they're looking at this like, shit, we have a problem here. And their thinking is this: the more we spend now, if we get relegated, the more financial troubles we're
I
going to have
see.
next
feel
season.
you.
So
Yeah.
we want to hold on to our players next year. So if we spend
Mm.
now, we could be in trouble. But at the same time, come on, man, take a risk. Let's go for it. You can do it. I believe in the Blades. I think they can do it. So why don't they? If they believe they could do it, if they looked around, said, this squad last year was all season in the Europa places, all season.
Yeah, challenging for Europa, bro.
All season. Has the team changed much? No, you haven't taken any players out. You've added in a couple in Ollie Burke and Ryan Brewster.
Exactly.
But apart from that, it's the same team. So why on earth can't this team fight their way out of relegation? Let's go for it.
Crazy.
Let's bring in a few players. Bro. Let's spend 25 mil in the market. Let's see what happens. And as I said, the market's not that intense right now. You could probably have got a couple bargains if you're shopping.
So I mean, but like, if Ainsley, listen to this, right? If Ainsley Maitland-Niles is allowed to go to West Bromwich Albion, who are almost in the same position as you, go and get depth.
At least loan some players. At least go and loan some players. If you're not going to buy, go loan them and give them back. If you go down and say, okay, not too much financial liability here.
Exactly.
Why have
pay their wages for a bit and then,
what?
Bro, I agree with you more.
Are you thinking of the Sheffield United back office?
He's rattled.
Got to sort that out.
Morgan is rattled by his beloved Sheffield United guys. Breaking news on TFF here.
Because I've been defending them for weeks.
Exactly.
Now. Weeks.
They're letting you down, bro. They're letting you down.
I've had you laugh at me. I've had Jovan laugh at me. I've had Matt Lockwood now laugh at me. Even though after they won, Matt Lockwood said I might be right. But that's not the point. But I stand here, and every time I stand by my point. I say they can do it. The Great Escape is on like Donkey Kong. I've said that numerous times. But you've got to help me out here, man. Sheffield United. Chris, help me out. Come on.
Chris, come on. Morgan is calling your name. He's calling you
your
out.
Name.
Help a man out.
Ring. Do you hear that? It's the phone ringing for you, Chris. You're letting me down. Come on, man.
Chris Wilder, pick up the damn phone. Pick up the damn phone.
Get some spark going in the middle of the pitch. Get some spark going. You know, it kills me, man. It kills me.
This is funny.
Come on.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how well Sheffield United get on with the current squad they've got. But, bro, I think we're both in agreement. They should have got at least some loan signings to add some depth.
Like, they have good players, and I still believe they can do it. But it just would have helped my argument if they brought in one or two nifty little signings, just to bolster the squad. Not even someone that's like, okay, he's now the best player at Sheffield United. Just something to bolster the squad a bit more depth. Like, you're still in the FA Cup. Like, you don't want to just drop out of that so you can focus on trying to survive. You're not going to drop out of the FA Cup. Like, just something.
It feels like they've given up already, Morgan, and that is why I don't think they're going to stay up. We'll discuss that more in a future episode.
I'm not even a fan of the club. They don't pay me a penny to say this stuff. I mean, I'd love them to. If you
go
want
and join the board, go and join the Sheffield United board. Take them over. If you've got the money, buy them out. I doubt you do, but maybe.
Well, you know, if I end up heading up to Yorkshire at any point, I'm going to stop by South Yorkshire and let them know what I think, because
let them know, bro. Let them know. Stop at Bramwell Lane and let them know.
Yeah, I'm buying the megaphone. Okay, so that was my my biggest takeaway, and as you can see, it's been somewhat hurtful.
I mean, I had all the same points as you, bro. Honestly, nothing different. Only that, you know, I think teams have been looking to add depth more than a player that's really going to change their season. I think they've been looking, look, we're here. The season's insane. Let's go and add some more depth, more loan signings for the financial instability that they've got right now. Just looking to add some more depth to their teams and hoping they can solidify their positions for the relegation teams, which is about pushing forward. And we've already discussed about Sheffield United. But yeah, that was probably my main takeaway. But I think that's all we have time for this episode. I think that's we've discussed. Morgan's got a little bit heated about Sheffield United, which we love to see.
I need to go cool down. I need to go sit in an ice bath. You know,
go and have a cool down, mate. But yeah, guys, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to follow us on our Instagram at TFF Media. That's where we have daily polls. We have daily competitions. We have giveaways. We have all sorts going on over on Instagram. Me and Morgan work very hard. We are our socks off to make sure that Instagram, we provide you with top quality entertainment every single day.
Every single day of the week, Monday to Sunday, even
Monday
bank
to Sunday.
holidays. Even bank holidays. We're
We
open
work
for
on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Wait, Dan.
we're now on TikTok.
Yes.
For the
I
Footy
thought
Forum on
you
TikTok.
forgot.
Yeah, no, bro. I'm on
Username
it.
is
I'm
just
on
the
it.
Footy Forum, one word, no caps. The Footy Forum. We've got a new member to the team. Shout out Alexander Carpel.
Shout
he
out,
is now
big up.
part of the TFF family. And he was already part of the community, but he's now part of what we call the family, the team that works behind the scenes with Job as well, doing the graphics still. Alexander's now working on our TikTok. It's going to be great content. He's already done a couple videos. It's looking good.
Love it.
So make sure you go there, give us a follow. And yeah, I'm sure you'll see us this week on Forms, TikTok as well. So
go look at it.
Out. And yeah, I think Dan, is that about it?
Yeah, that's all it, bro. That's all it. So yeah, as I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, check us out on audio platforms if you want to listen to us on the go. And yeah, that's all from me. So Morgan, I'll hand it over to you to say bye to the people.
Yeah, listen, guys, it's been a strange episode. We obviously had a red card we didn't see coming. I mean, on the topic of red cards, 4 red cards in midweek. We're filming this on a Wednesday. This will come out on Sunday, but yeah, 4 red cards this week. Arsenal going down to 9 men, questionable. Southampton, another 9-0 in less than a year.
Wow.
You know, credit Ralph. They did something amazing at Anfield. But I mean, it's a stinger. It's not the kind of thing where you're like, should we sack the guy? But it's got to sting. It's got to sting.
Yeah.
Oh, and
yes,
you know,
100%, mate.
10 men. They have barely any players as it is, but they're doing a good job. Thank God they started the season well, because otherwise they could be in a bit of trouble. So,
true.
Yeah, shout out Southampton for hanging in there. I would never shout out Man United. So, but yeah, that's all for now. Thank you again, and we will see you very soon with our first female guest on
exciting
TFF
stuff.
+1. Very exciting. You can wait and see who that is, so find out soon. Got a couple female guests lined up we're looking forward to having on. So yeah, apart from that, Dan, thanks for joining me. This has been
no problem, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Take care.
See you guys later.